This is the Biblical Unitarian Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Biblical Unitarian Podcast. My name is Dustin Smith, and today we are asking the important question, who is Jesus' God? Now, some of you are watching, and you might be asking the question, isn't Jesus Christ the only true God? But actually, Jesus has a God. And this is something that Jesus himself openly admitted several times in the New Testament. Now, the fact that Jesus has a God can be observed in, count them, 3 stages of his life. Let's look at those stages. Stage number 1, before his death. Let's look at these passages where Jesus talks about the fact that he has a God prior to his death. First passage, Matthew 27:46. About the 9th hour, Jesus cried out with a loud voice, saying, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani, that is, my God, why have you forsaken me? Matthew there cites the Hebrew of Psalm 22. Mark 15:34. At the 9th hour, Jesus cried out with a loud voice, Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani, which is translated, my God, why have you forsaken me? Where he cites the Aramaic of that passage. Stage 2, after Jesus' resurrection, but before his ascension. We can see that Jesus claims that he has a God in John 20:17. Jesus said to Mary, stop clinging to me, for I have not yet ascended to the Father, but go to my brethren and say to them, I ascend to my Father and your Father, and my God and your God. Stage 3, after Jesus' exalted ascension. In Revelation 3 and verse 2, we have Jesus say, wake up and strengthen the things that remain, which are about to die, for I have not found your deeds completed in the sight of my God. Next passage is in Revelation 3:12, where Jesus claims to have a God 4 times in one passage. He who overcomes, I will make him a pillar in the temple of my God, and he will not go out from it anymore. And I will write on him the name of my God, and the name of the city of my God, the New Jerusalem, which comes down out of heaven from my God. 4 times Jesus claims to have a God there. So, clearly, Jesus has a God above him. And the fact that Jesus has a God is something that Jesus himself taught. So, if you are a disciple of Jesus, you too should acknowledge that Jesus has a God. Now, back to the original question. Who is Jesus' God? Luckily for us, we do not have to do any mental gymnastics in order to figure out the answer to this important question. Jesus himself tells us who his God is. We saw in John 20:17, where Jesus says, I ascend to my Father and your Father, and my God and your God. Notice there that Jesus defines his God as my Father, as the Father of Jesus in John 20:17. We could see the same thing in Revelation chapter 3, verse 2. Jesus talks about having a God. He says, my God, in 3 verse 2. But then he describes that God and defines him as my Father in verse 5. We could see the same later in Revelation chapter 3. We saw in verse 12 where Jesus claims to have a God 4 times in one passage in 3 verse 12. And that God of Jesus is defined a few verses later in verse 21 as Jesus' Father, my Father. Now, Paul also talks about the God of Jesus, and Paul defines the God of Jesus in the very same way. 2 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 3, Paul says, blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ. There, the God of Jesus is the same person as the Father of Jesus, the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ. So, based on the evidence we have observed thus far, here are 3 facts upon which we can all agree. Fact number 1, Jesus Christ clearly taught that he has a God. Fact number 2, the God of Jesus is the Father alone. Fact number 3, if Jesus' God is the Father alone, then the only true God is one person. Thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. For more videos from the Biblical Unitarian Podcast, check us out on iTunes for our weekly podcast. Search the Biblical Unitarian Podcast. My name is Dustin Smith. Until next time, you folks take care.